As an outlier, pioneer, or maverick with a purpose, with a mission in the world, with as someone who stands for something, there'll likely be a time at some point where you, and probably multiple times, when you have to really look back and see, is the thing that I'm doing in alignment with my mission? Is it in alignment with what I stand for? Or am I betraying that? I like to use the word betray because it has power behind it. And so I want to, this video right here is to offer you something and a way to look through that as those questions come up. And I'm going through that right now with just choosing to specifically serve outliers, pioneers, and mavericks. The reason for this here is that my mission in life is to bring together a truly inclusive and empowered world. And what really stands at the center of all this is inclusion. And so the thought that was on my mind was, am I really standing for inclusion, or am I betraying what I thought inclusion was by choosing to simply focus on you, on outliers, pioneers, and mavericks? You'll have your own variation of this for your tribe and for what you stand for. What was interesting here is that I went through a couple different thought exercises, and I'll share some of them with you. The first one was just to really spend some time defining, okay, what exactly is inclusion for me, and how does that actually sit within my world? So honestly, if I was going to just break this down for you, where I came up to is this: I actually recognize that there is some exclusion that is being played. I am talking to outliers, pioneers, and mavericks. So let me just acknowledge that it isn't 100% perfect system. Right? B, I guess, or two, the second thing that came up here was that for me in this particular case, being an outlier, being a pioneer, being a maverick, that's as much a state of mind as it is a chosen identity. And I think that for me, especially when it comes to the inclusion perspective, that's a really important distinction. A lot of times we talk about identity and when we get to diversity and inclusion from a place of things that people can't change. For example, I'm a black male. That's a fact. It's not a choice that I made, and to be seen as that first and foremost is not the identity in which I choose to be chosen to be seen as. So that's given me some space to look at this and say, okay, actually, I'm giving people an opportunity to choose where they want to be included, to not just be forced into one area or another. So being able to look at it and see how is it really in integrity or out of integrity with what I believe is playing out really importantly. There's another area here as this comes along, as you continue to see whether or not you're still in alignment with your mission. For me, the thing that I look at is the diffusion of innovation curve, that bell curve that talks about innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards, with 50% of the people being on the early side, and then the innovators and early adopters being in the first 16%. One of the things that I really fundamentally believe when it comes to my mission is that we really are bringing together a truly inclusive and empowered world. In order to accomplish that, though, I'm not able to just boil the ocean. What works for inclusion in the US may not work in India, may not work in Sri Lanka, may not work in Singapore. What works in the US in New York City at one company may not work in the US in New York City at another company, and so on and so forth. And I have to remind myself this here. A part of the strategy in which I've taken in order to bring my mission to life is to actually focus on the people who really embody what that mission already looks like, to help this specific group of people, to help you to be able to succeed, the people who are already willing to stand out, stand apart, and stand for something, so that you can bring out your unique gifts and talents to the world, so that you can create more income, influence, and impact in your world, and other people will be able to see that this is a viable way of leading themselves and others. And so by choosing to specifically serve outliers, pioneers, and mavericks, I'm also giving myself an opportunity to really serve the early adopters and create enough momentum, enough evidence that makes it easier for the early and late majority later on to come and to be a part of this here. There's also additional ripple effects that take place as each of you go off into the world. There was one more thing that came to mind here. There was one more thing that came to mind around being able to stay in integrity with the mission, even though it may seem like it's off. A lot of times, I don't know, this might come up for you, but a lot of times people say, well, everyone could use this. Why not help everyone? And I think that's really where this is really coming from. Everyone could use this. Why not help everyone? And it's in our decision to actually choose, and this is odd for me, but I think it's real. And our decision to choose to exclude for specific purposes at specific times, while still maintaining the opportunity for inclusion in terms of leaving it to others, or leaving space for others to serve other communities, to serve other tribes, or to serve the same community in a different way, that there still speaks to the inclusion part on my behalf. There's no part of me that says this is the one and only way. In fact, I really fundamentally believe that because other people are doing work in other fields, on other dimensions of inclusion, I get a chance to play with you, Outliers, Pioneers, and Mavericks. And any person at any time can self-identify as one of us, and we'll be happy to have you. And there'll be times where you don't want to be a pioneer, and you have to choose, and you have to choose something that's a little bit safer for you, or a little bit more mainstream, and that's okay too. We'll be here. So I wanted to walk through my specific example. One, because it's working on me, and it's funny because as I was making this video, in my head, what I was thinking is this really serving you all, or is this serving me? And I do believe that there's a way that this can do both, because quite frankly, I'm documenting my journey along the way. What's happening for me is something I believe will happen for you in your own context. So think about one area where you might be questioning yourself around whether or not you're living in integrity with your mission and with your values. And then give yourself a chance to look at it and say, who are you truly looking to serve right now? How is this really coming to light? And is the thought that you have right now fully justified? Or can it be that for right now, for this stage of your development, the stage of your business, and the stage of the realization of your mission, this is exactly where you need to be? I'm Nemo Ashong, founder of Enjoyment and pioneer leader of the World Joy Movement. Wherever you are, I'd love for you to leave a comment. This is something that I get a lot of comments on. We'll go ahead and we'll organize a conversation on this, and we'll take it even further. I'll talk to you soon. Journey on.